there, everyone. This is Coop from Demonic Legion, and I'm posting a battle report today of a game I played with my Demons of Chaos versus the new 8th edition Wood Elves. We played 2,400 points, and the battle was just standard battle line and line them up and knock them down, basically. So, for the Demons, I had a Keeper of Secrets, level 4 of Slanesh, with the Exalted and Lesser Gift. For the Exalted Gift, I rolled the add one die to each Dispel attempt, which I decided to keep. I usually default to the Eternal Blade, but because my opponent had so many casters, I thought it would be useful to keep the Dispel attempt dice. And for the Lesser Gift, I defaulted to the Always Strikes First Sword. For the Herald of Nurgle, he's got the Regeneration Locus, he's my BSB, and he's got a Greater Gift. I ended up rolling something not that great for the Greater Gift, so I dropped down to Fencer's Blades so that he has Weapon Skill 10, and everyone would be hitting him on, 5s or 6s. For the Plague Bearers, for core, I have 24 Plague Bearers. They're the full command and banner of swiftness. They're 5x5 formation, and this is where the Herald goes. I have 21 Demonettes, who have a Musician, a Standard, and the Gleaming Pennant, and they are 7x3 to try to maximize damage. For special, I've got 4 Beasts of Nurgle. They're just a rank 4 wide. 5 Fleshhounds of Khorne. They are not ambushers. And 5 Seekers of Slanesh. I've got the full command and the Banner of the Eternal Flame on them. For rare, I've got a Soul Grinder. He's Mark of Nurgle for -1 to hit. Demon Bone Claw, and the Baleful Turret, which is the Flamethrower. And lastly, I've got a Skull Cannon of Khorne. So, for the Keeper of Secrets, I ended up rolling Pavane of Slanesh, which is a direct damage spell, and what it does is the opponent has to take a leadership test on 3d6, and they suffer a wound if they fail, and they don't get any armor saves. It's an alright spell. I took Acquiescence, which is great. It's a hex spell with a range of 24, and the target gets random movement 6, and they also have Always Strikes Last. I've got Phantasmagoria, which is a hex spell, and then until the start of my next phase, the opponent rolls, the target unit rolls 3d6 for their leadership, and discard the lowest die, so it's reverse cold blood. And lastly, we got Cacophonic Choir, which you always go for. It's the hex spell. You can bump it up so that everyone within 12 inches of the Keeper of Secrets, every unit takes 2d6 hits that wound on a 4-up with no armor saves allowed. And any unit that takes wound gets Always Strikes Last and random movement 6. So it's really a spell you go for. It can be really game changing, and I always try to get it. So for deployment, I ended up getting turn 1, which is great. I really wanted to get a jump on the Wood Elves. So for deployment, on the right side of the table, I've got my 5 Seekers. I've got my Keeper of Secrets, who is behind the Soul Grinder. The way it's set up, the Keeper of Secrets is totally screened by the Grinder, so I'm not going to be taking any shots from the Glade Guard or anything. And then I've got my Demonettes right behind the Grinder. In the center, I've got my Plague Bearers of Nurgle, I've got my Beasts of Nurgle, and then my Khorne Dogs way on the right. And initially I was going to kind of bunker up the right flank, but I remembered that, Wood Elves have so many scouts that I really didn't want to take the chance of him coming behind me and just taking shots at my units while they walk up. So I spread them out so that there was no room in the back for him to deploy them. There's no 12 inches he could get away. And on the very right is my Skull Cannon of Khorne. It's right on the hilltop and has some good shots. So on his back, his left flank, he's got 10 Glade Guard. They have I believe poison arrows or something like that. He's got an eagle to the side of them. And then he's got another unit of 10 Glade Guard. They have the True Flight arrows, so he is not suffering any penalties to shooting, so he will always hit on 3s. He's got a group of Sisters of the Thorn, which are I like to call them the fake warlocks. They're the equivalent of the Dark Elf warlocks with their level 2 casters with their 4-up ward saves. He's got a tree man back here who is actually in line of sight of the cannon, which is great. He's got his general back here, who's a level 4 caster of Shadow. I think he rolled up Malekith's, or whatever his name is, Mystifying Miasma, the signature spell. He's got Pit of Shades, Occam's Razor, and the Withering. In front of him, he's got 10 more Glade Guard, and they have an arrow that does, I think, flaming and +1 against units of the order or something like that, so it wasn't too big of a deal for me. Over to the side, he's got a mounted hero. Um, Not exactly sure what unit this was. I wasn't paying super close attention, but he becomes important later. He's got 10 Way Watchers to the side, and I don't have a shot of it, but he's actually got 10 more Way Watchers way down on his right flank, and also 8 Wild Riders. He's also got, I think, 8 Glade Guard, which are ambushing, so they're going to come in later. So turn 1 for Demons. Movement, I just go really aggressive and move everyone up as far as I can go. The Grinder moves 16, and the Keeper of Secrets moves right behind him so that he's totally screened and no one can really see him. My Seekers of Slaanesh are so fast with Vanguard and March 20. They're just in perfect position to really threaten the Glade Guard. The Demonettes move up right behind, and the Plague Bearers are also moving up. On the left side, I've got the Beast of Nurgle that moved up, and the Corn Dogs. The Flesh Hounds really move quick, so that's nice. And then I don't do much with my cannon. I move it up just a little bit so that maybe I'll be able to get some charges later in the game. And oops, sorry. And not much really happens in the magic phase because, you can see right here the position of the Keeper of Secrets. He's not really close enough to anyone to be doing any cacophonic choirs or anything like that. I tried to cast some spells, but my opponent was able to dispel them with no trouble. And then for shooting, my Skull Cannon takes a shot at the tree man, but I rolled 2 for the bounce, or 2 for the land, and then 2 for the bounce, so he didn't quite get there. I ended up killing 1 Glade Guard, which was great. One thing I forgot to mention, my opponent also has a level 2 Lore of Beasts caster in this Glade Guard unit. So, turn 1 Wood Elves, not much happened with me. So, he goes into movement. He moves his sisters right behind my Beast of Nurgle. He also moves up his Wild Riders so that they can potentially charge the Skull Cannon next turn. He moves his... Oh, these were his Way Watchers that you couldn't see before, and I don't think he does much with them. And he basically just moves his units up a little bit so they can take shots. What really happens is in the magic phase. So he rolls up, I believe, a 7 and channels, so he's got maybe 8 dice. And I only have 4 dice, but I'm feeling all right. So he casts a spell. He has a hero unit that has a sniper ability. I'm not exactly sure what the name of the character is, but it's a hero that has sniper, and it's pretty strong. And he throws out a beast spell to give him +3 attacks, +3 strength, which can really be damaging when he can snipe out units. So I'm worried that he's going to choose my Herald of Nurgle and start putting some really strong shots on him. So he gets this spell off, and he throws 2 dice at it, and he maybe rolled a 7 on 2 dice, so average. And I really want to dispel this, so I toss 2 dice at it, and I get a free 3rd dice because of my Keeper of Secrets Exalted Gift. And I just totally whiff. I rolled 2 1s and a 4, and I could not dispel it, which really comes back to bite me in the ass in about 5 seconds. He then rolls Pit of Shades on my Soul Grinder, and because the Keeper of Secrets failed the dispel attempt, I don't get to dispel with him anymore, so I lose the +4 and I lose the extra dispel dice. So he rolls Pit of Shades and he gets it off of the Soul Grinder. And of course, Soul Grinder's got initiative 3, so 50% chance he dies, and it happened. So I lost my 6 wounds, 200, 300 some point Soul Grinder, which was screening my Keeper of Secrets, which was really tough. And then in the shooting phase, because the Keeper of Secrets no longer has a screen, he just pours some shots into him. And because of poison and True Flight Arrow and all this junk, he gets 2 wounds on the Keeper, and so the Keeper's got 3 left, and it's really not the way I want to be starting. Also, I forgot to mention he moved up his Eagle to chaff up uh, the Seekers of Slaanesh. He also ends up taking some shots at the Fleshhounds of Khorne, and I think he kills 1.5. He does 3 wounds, and they each have 2, so that wasn't too big of a deal. This is just another shot of the Skull Cannon on the side. So turn 2 Demons, I lost my Soul Grinder. It's time to get back in the game. So my Seekers charge the Eagle, and they kill it no problem at all. It doesn't even, they don't take a wound or anything. My Demonettes move up, my Plague Bears move up, and my Beasts of Nurgle move up as well. He ends up charging in his turn with the Tree Man, which I'm not too worried about at all. And the Keeper of Secrets just runs up right in the middle. So he's already got 3 wounds on him. I really need to start, getting some points from this guy. So I move him right in the middle. And where he's positioned, he can get his Sniper Hero unit. He can get the Glade Guard. He can get his General. He can get this group of Way Watchers and this group of Glade Guard if I do the upcast version of Cacophonic Choir. They're all within 12 inches, and if I get it off, it would just be fantastic. So, in the magic phase, let me go back for a second. In the magic phase, I roll, I think, like a 7 or something. So, I toss 6 dice at Cacophonic Choir, and of course, I'm just not rolling great today, and I think I rolled 3 ones, a 2, a 5, and a 6. So, it just doesn't go off. I needed like a 24, I think, so I was just out of luck. Choir didn't go off, and I'm just in a terrible position, and I can't cast anymore because I wasn't able to get Choir, and he's my only caster. So it was, it's a big risk to just throw him in the middle there and do Choir. But when I lost my Soul Grinder screen, I really didn't have very many options left. I guess I could have tried moving him behind the Seekers or something, but I really wanted to try and get some points. And had I gotten Choir off, there's like a 25% chance to get double sixes with 6 dice. It would have really made a difference. So, go into the shooting phase. I will turn the Skull Cannon around, and I was able to get, I think I rolled an 8 for my Grape Shot. So I was able to get a lot of shots, and I rolled really great to hit and to wound. So I was able to kill 4 Wild Riders, no problem, which was really great because I know they're kind of nasty. And the Hounds move up a little bit just to threaten later, and that's about it for my turn. Not much happens, unfortunately. So turn 2 for Wood Elves. He basically reforms everybody to look at the Keeper of Secrets and hopefully start taking shots, which I'm not super happy about. I was not in a great state of mind at this point, but he also takes the Tree Man into the Beast of Nurgle. Not worried about that at all. He gets off Wissen's Wild Form, so he's got +1 strength, +1 toughness, but Beasts of Nurgle are so strong. And the Tree Man got nerfed that I'm just not really worried at all. The rest of his casting is not really effective. I don't think he gets anything off. So for shooting, he ends up taking the Glade Guard over here with the poison shots into my Seekers of Slaanesh, and I definitely think it was a total mistake of his not to have him face the Keeper and try and take the Keeper out. But he goes against the Seekers, and I think he killed maybe 1. And then all his Way Watchers, his Hero, and the Glade Guard, they all go into the Keeper, and I think he only does 1 wound. I mean, it's really tough when you've got to be hitting on, uh, you got to be wounding on 6s. So he just did not get anything really. And this is just another shot of the side. He moved his general back to safety, and my my dogs are over here, and they're taking shots from the Glade Guard up here. They're taking shots from the Way Watchers, and he's whittling them down. The reason I took the dogs was actually to be, targets. They have 2 wounds each. They've got a 6 up and a 5 up, and they've also got a toughness 4, and they're really fast. So I mostly brought them just to be a distraction and try and take some fire away from my Keeper of Secrets and my Soul Grinder. So turn 3 demons. The only combat there was the tree man, and not really much happened. I think I did 1 or 2 wounds to the tree man, and he did, I think, 2 or 3 wounds to my beast, but it didn't really make a difference. So in my turn, since the Keeper of Secrets is still alive, I go straight into his hero with a charge, and because I'm so close, he doesn't get stand and shoot. And even better, he fails his terror check and he runs off the board. So I test a redirect, and I go into his. I don't know if these are War Dancers or Way Watchers, but I go into them, and then I also take my Seekers of Slanesh into his Glade Guard, and then I take my Plague Bearers into his other Glade Guard. So it's looking pretty good now, actually. I'm getting stuff into combat, and my Keeper of Secrets is still alive, so I'm pretty optimistic at this point. For casting, I think I rolled like a 6 or a 7 on the Demonic Rain table, so not much happened. And I uh, I cast I cast the spell that gives always strikes last and random movement to the tree man. I don't really know what I was thinking. I was just trying to get it off, maybe use up some of his dice, and that way the beast can go first before he gets to attack and maybe minimize some wounds. And then I tried to throw Choir. I had enough dice to do the bubble form of Choir, but I thought that'd be way too risky. I don't want to risk throwing 6 dice, getting a miscast and getting sucked into the void or anything. So I just went for the lower version of Choir on the unit that the Keeper of Secrets is on to hopefully give them always strikes last so that I'm going to take minimal hits. But he was able to, it goes off, but he was able to dispel it with his dice. So not really a big magic phase for me. And this is just another shot. I took the corn dogs into his BSB, which I found out was a terrible idea because the BSB had much better stats than I was expecting. I think he had like toughness 4 and strength high enough to kill my dogs, so they ended up dying pretty quickly, which was unfortunate. And I ended up reforming the Skull Cannon to face the Way Watchers for a charge or for more Grape Shot. I think I might have actually I actually tried to Grape Shot them, and I rolled a misfire, and I rolled up a 4, so I couldn't shoot next turn either. And then he also put his Wild Riders behind this pillar over here. You can't see them, but they're just chilling back there. And after combat, everything went really well. I took 1 wound on the Keeper of Secrets, which I wasn't super upset about. You can see the Plague Bearers are totally gone. They whittled down the Glade Guard, and they fled. And the Plague Bearers rolled, I think, an 11 or something for their pursuit, so they just went off the table. The Seekers are not doing quite as great as I would have hoped. These stupid Glade Guard with their always strikes first now, thinking they're high elves. They get all these attacks and they get to reroll, so it wasn't as easy as I thought for the Seekers of Slanesh. And the Beast of Nurgle, sorry, this is a little blurry. They were able to do some more wounds to the Tree Man, and they reformed, which is great. I'm going to be able to get a lot of attacks on them later. These 2 Plague Bearers were just some casualties. I don't know why they're just kind of hanging around. So I was able to reform to face what's coming up. Turn 3 Wood Elves. His ambushing glade riders come on. They I think rolled a 1 for ambush in turn 2, so they weren't able to come on, but they were able to come on in turn 3. And he moves his general back a little bit so she's safe, and he basically just angles his units to take more shots at the Keeper. And the Keeper's got 2 wounds on him, and he's doing pretty well. He takes most of the Glade Guard shots, until this BSB comes and gets me, and I really wish my Fleshhounds of Corn were able to hold him up longer because he's got a magic item. I think it's the Hail of Doom arrow or something like that. It's 3d6 shots, and he rolls like 11 shots. Because it's a hero, it's got an incredibly high ballistic skill, like 6 or 7, and he's within half range, so he's rolling basically 2s to hit. And then he needs 6s to wound, but with so many dice, he's able to get a lot through. I think maybe 2 through, and I just wasn't able to save them. And quite unfortunately, I lost my keeper. That was really a big turning point because he's a level 4 caster, and I really needed him around. Turn 4 Demons, he really wasn't able to cast anything important either in the magic phase. I think he rolled like a 3, and I was able to dispel everything, but with shooting, he was able to kill my Keeper's Secrets, which is really what mattered. So in my turn, I didn't take a picture of it, but the Skull Cannon was within range. I think it was like 13 inches away from his BSB, or no, his general, sorry. So I declared a charge against his general, and knowing that he would get slaughtered, the general elected to flee, and he goes right in the middle of basically all of my units, which is great. So he's fleeing right now, and I have some units that are able to take shots at him. I also charged my Demonettes into the Glade Guard that you previously saw fighting the Seekers. The Glade Guard were able to clear up the Seekers, um, with always strikes first and everything. So I took the Demonettes in, and they were able to clean up the the Glade Guard in no problem, in no time at all. It was no problem. And Magic Phase was obviously nothing because I lost my keeper. I think I rolled something insignificant on the Demonic Rain table, so it really didn't come into play. And there were really no combats to have, so it was a pretty big wash of a turn. My Plague Bears came back on the table, so that was helpful. Turn 4 Wood Elves. He brings his in the previous turn, he had brought his Wild Riders behind my Skull Cannon, and he takes them into the Skull Cannon. The Skull Cannon has 1 wound on it from shooting, and I'm thinking he's going to do pretty fine, but apparently these Wild Riders are pretty good. They're like, I think, Strength 5 on the charge, and they're also armor piercing, so he's destroying my armor save, and again, with these rerolls with always strikes first, he's getting a lot of hits on, and he was able to deal enough wounds and kill my Skull Cannon outright, which is really unfortunate. And then over here, he successfully rallies his oh no, I think he was unable to rally his general, so he doesn't really get any magic off or anything, and he gives me the opportunity to go after him, in another turn. And yeah, so this is pretty much the end of the game. This is, I think, the bottom of the top of turn 4, and really nothing else happens. I mean, he uh, he is able to rally his general, and he gets him to safety. The Plague Bears try and charge him, and after he rallies, and they just rolled terribly. I think they got double ones, so I couldn't catch up to the general. If I'd rolled like a 6 or a 7, I would have been there, no problem, because they got the Banner of Swiftness, but I wasn't able to get there, so that was really tough. The He actually took his way over to the right of his side of the board. He has some Glade Riders that he brings all the way over in front of his general to try and save his general from getting charged by the Demonettes. So I think in turn 5 and 6 the Demonettes do go into the Glade Guard, or the Glade Riders, sorry, and they're able to totally wipe them out. So that was great. Um, but yeah, in the end, all I had left was my Plague Bearers with my Herald, my Beast of Nurgle, and my Demonettes. He takes shots at them, throughout the last 2 turns of the game, but he's not able to kill them at all. And I was not able to kill anything else either. So, some closing thoughts. In the end, I think we both had around 1,100 points left. I think he maybe had like 50 or 60 more points than me. It was really close. He did have the added benefit of killing my general, but it was basically a draw. I think some of the things to think about. The Fleshhounds of Corn really didn't do too much for me in terms of damage, but they were nice in that they soaked up a lot of shots and they drew a lot of fire away. The Seekers of Slaanesh were nice just because they're so quick. I mean, the Plague Bearers and Beasts of Nurgle are just incredible against Wood Elves. Wood Elves, they have a bunch of armor piercing and, they take tons of shots. But, the greatest weakness of them is that they just don't have that high of strength. So when you bring high toughness units that don't rely on armor saves, like Nurgle, which has regeneration, so you got a 4-up regen save. When you're not relying on armor and you've got high toughness, it makes it really difficult for him to deal. It makes it really difficult for a Wood Elf player to deal with those units. So next time I'll maybe bring Papa Nurgle and get my Great and Clean one in there, and maybe bring some more Plague Bearers. They're uh, they're quite effective. One of the reasons this game didn't really go quite as well was because the Soul Grinder died so early, but it happens. And the Demonettes performed reasonably well. They always do well against elves because of the low toughness. And the Skull Cannon was a little bit disappointing, but it's usually so good that I'm perfectly all right with it. Some thoughts about the new Wood Elf book. Um, it seems all right. It definitely doesn't seem as good as it could have been. It's just, looks like it's a little bit more middle of the road. I can see them just having a terrible time with ogres, with high toughness and you know units like that. They just seem like they're gonna. Their biggest weakness is high toughness and magic missiles because they are so low toughness themselves. The new arrows seemed pretty cool. They didn't really seem to have a huge impact. I mean, the nice thing was I brought units that are mostly pretty tough. So with his True Flight arrow, you're always hitting on threes. You get a lot of hits, sure, whatever, but then you've got to roll sixes to wound. So that didn't do too much. Uh, his list wasn't really optimized for the new Wood Elves. He was playing with a lot of the models that he had previously, and I think a lot of the new ones were out of stock in our store, so he couldn't get all the units he wanted. I think he would want more Sisters and more Wild Riders. But overall, it was a pretty good game, and the Wood Elves definitely have some interesting things. I think as a Demons player, if you're coming up against Wood Elves, I think the strategy is to be aggressive. I think that's the best thing you can do. Um, you know, just march everything up, and you're going to eat it for one turn where he's going to shoot at you, and it's going to suck, and you're going to take some wounds. But if you keep your greater demon behind a soul grinder or something, you'll be okay. And after the initial shots, once you get into combat, you can totally tear up the elves. I mean, my core decimated anyone they touched in combat, so just try and get into combat as soon as possible and don't be too timid. You know, the only thing that, staying back can do for you is increase the number of turns you can get shot at. So I think if you're playing against the new Wood Elves as a Demons player, if you can try to bring a lot of Nurgle, try to screen and keep your important units behind beasts or soul grinders, and try to get in combat as soon as you possibly can. And watch out for Pit of Shades too.